Welcome back everyone to another edition of the best solo carries, this time for patch 12.16. As always, we will be breaking down the top 3 champions for every single role who have the best carry potential for solo queue. But before we get into it, be sure to check out SkillCapped if you want to truly get better at League of Legends. We're the only service that offers a money-back guarantee if you don't climb at least 5 divisions while actively using our service. We do this because our service really does work, and if it doesn't work for you, you shouldn't pay. Learn more at the end of this video or click the link in the description below. Strong early game skirmishing top laners have been on the rise the past couple of patches, and Olaf is most definitely one of them. The kill power throughout the first few levels when running Flash with Ghost is some of the best for any top laner. Now that Corrupting Potion has been nerfed, a matchup like Gangplank has become so much easier for Olaf. Chunking the enemy out with a winning trade and them not healing it all back in an instant is great. Olaf is also one of the few top laners for solo queue that is seeing positive results against Mordekaiser, who has played a ton, especially in the lower ranks. Shen is one of the best bans for Olaf right now. Olaf wants to lane against champions who need to stay top lane so he can run away with the 1v1, but Shen has global impact, so if a fight breaks out bot lane, all you can do is pray. A few really good options in regards to Olaf's build. Trinity Force is the ultimate Chad build that provides the most damage. Stridebreaker, on the other hand, is great as well and will suit you best against ranged or high mobility champs. Run Conqueror is the keystone with Triumph, Alacrity, and Last Stand. Freeboots and Approach Velocity are optimal secondaries. By far the most reliable and consistent solo queue top laner for 12.16 is Shen. You can pick Shen every game and know that you'll be able to make an impact regardless of the matchup. Matchups are actually really good right now anyways, and as long as you use your ban on Mordekaiser, it's smooth sailing. We don't see these kinds of solo queue stats very often, but Shen currently wins over 53% of the time into Fiora, GP, Jax, Camille, Renekton, Gnar, and Yone, who are top 15 play rate top laners. As long as you can go even or win lane and then transition into pressuring side lanes and drawing the enemy who doesn't have teleport over, you're going to find great success. Dragons are so key to secure right now, so being able to force 5v4 fights is so valuable. Standard build for Shen is a Frostfire Rush into Titanic Hydra 2nd and Thornmail 3rd. For runes, grab Grasp with Shield Bash, Second Wind, and Revitalize. Secondary runes are Cheap Shot and Ultimate Hunter. Very few impactful top lane changes in 12.16 means you have yet another patch to spam Darius. Darius is extremely strong right now and in the top 3 for similar reasons to Olaf. Now that potions are nerfed, it's way more rewarding to hit the level 2 jump and get a winning trade-off. If you're a competent Darius player, then finding solo kills in lane has become even easier as of recent. Hardest counter to Darius right now is Wukong, so he's a good ban to consider. Trinity Force is the best mythic for Darius into comps with less kite or mobility, as it will provide the most damage potential in extended skirmishes. Stridebreaker is best if you really need the active slow to stick onto targets. Pick up Conqueror with Triumph, Alacrity, and Last Stand for primary runes. Dip into Sorcery for secondary, running Nimbus Cloak and Celerity. With Diana dropping out of the top 3 for 12.16, taking her place is the Troll King. Trundle is one of the best skirmishing junglers you can play right now, which is extremely valuable for the current meta. Securing early dragons and Rift Herald are way more important now, so the excellent dueling power of Trundle gives him a massive edge up. Trundle currently has a positive solo queue win rate against all 10 of the most played junglers, which is pretty nuts. Build versatility is really amazing for Trundle as well, since you can build full offensive or more tanky depending on the game. Divine is the rush item, followed by Titanic Hydra or Frozen Heart second. Frozen Heart is insanely strong into auto-reliant comps due to the armor and attack speed slow. As for your third item, Blade of the Ruined King provides max damage, Thornmail or Force of Nature for more durability, while Death's Dance meets in the middle. Lethal Tempo makes Trundle an absolute menace in the 1v1, so it should be your keystone. For secondaries, pick up Freeboots and Approach Velocity. Ever since his buffs a few patches back, Master Yi has been in an incredibly strong spot for solo queue. Yi was hit with a small nerf since then, but it hasn't significantly affected him in the slightest. Yi is arguably the best scaling jungler right now, but his early game is nothing to scoff at either. Many Yi players are running Ignite with Smite, completely bypassing Flash. Ignite combined with stacking Lethal Tempo allows for Yi to win out in many early skirmishes he normally wouldn't be able to in the past. Blade of the Ruined King and Rage Blade are staples in Master Yi's build. However, the mythic item is where things get interesting. Sunfire and Kraken Slayer are the two best options right now, but they're polar opposites of each other. If you're against more squishy, burstier comps and don't need the extra damage, then look into Sunfire. Into heavier tank or bruiser comps is where the true damage from Kraken Slayer will be of more value. For runes, pick up Lethal Tempo with Triumph, Alacrity, and Last Stand. Secondaries are Eyeball Collector and Treasure Hunter. When it comes down to a pure teamfight jungler for 12.16, Fiddlesticks is unrivaled. Fid has shot up in strength drastically in the past 3 patches due to direct buffs and fighting around Dragon being key. Once you hit level 6, look for ult opportunities on the bot side of the map and transition those winning fights into dragons. Once you have a lead, it's paramount to keep track of objective timers and abuse Fiddle's ability to find catch plays when the enemy walks into choke points. Rocket Belt Rush into Zhonya's 2nd and Void Staff or Shadow Flame 3rd is Fiddle's core build. The first strike nerfs really didn't do much in the grand scheme of things, so it's still a great keystone rune. There's honestly a bunch of viable rune pages for Fiddle right now, as Electrocute and Predator are great if you want a little more early game pop. Fresh off his buffs from 12.15, Zed joins the top 3 for mid lane. Energy cost was reduced by 10, offering a little more skirmish power throughout the game. The recent Scorch buffs were also extremely nice to provide some added early game bully power. Landing early poke with WQ combos is way more rewarding now after the potion nerfs. Your ability to set up for early solo kills if you can play Zed to his potential is much better. Matchup wise, Sylas is one of the more optimal bans for Zed as his play rate is the highest for any mid, and it's also a more difficult lane. All 3 lethality mythics are viable for Zed, so it really comes down to the game and preference. Ghostblade and Serilda's Grudge are the standard 2nd and 3rd options. For runes, roll with Electrocute followed by Taste of Blood, Eyeball Collector, and Ultimate Hunter. Transcendence and Scorch are the best secondaries. The second solo carry mid of the patch is going to be Vex. Vex has held a top tier standing over the past few patches now. The champion has leapfrogged past all other burst mages thanks to direct buffs and beneficial rune changes. Zed is in the conversation for best AD mid, while Vex is the best AP mid for 12.16. Big reason for Vex being high priority is due to her ability to demolish Sylas. Sylas' play rate keeps climbing every single patch, and Vex wins against him 54% of the time. Vlad and Victor are 2 good bans for Vex, as she really wants to lane into shorter range champions with gap closers. As for Vex's build, Luden's into Shadow Flame is a really potent 1-2 punch, followed by Zhonya's or Rabadon's 3rd. Grab Electrocute as the keystone with Taste of Blood, Eyeball Collector, and Ultimate Hunter. Mana Flow and Scorch are optimal secondaries. Ever since the durability update, Sylas has excelled way more than most other mids. The W spam in extended fights is massive, and Riot taking away power from Grievous Wounds has been huge as well. An interesting new build we're seeing many pro players using is Crown of the Shattered Queen instead of Everfrost. Although the Crown passive offers added durability, it actually allows you to play much more aggressive. With Crown passive active, you're able to dive right onto the enemy, chunk them super hard before you've even taken any damage yourself. This works especially well for when you get an early lead and transition into pressuring the side lane. So for the complete core build, it's Crown or Everfrost Rush into Zhonya's 2nd and Cosmic Drive 3rd. Key to note for your starting item is that in more difficult lanes, grab Doran's Shield instead of Corrupting Potion. Corrupting is super weak after the nerfs, and Doran's Shield is winning the most now for any starting item. Conqueror and First Strike are great rune choices for Sylas. First Strike is highly undervalued as it helps Sylas accelerate into his godlike mid-game spike. Draven nerfed makes room for a new addition to our ADC top 3, and taking home the spot is Nilah. An ADC like Nilah who wants to be more aggressive in lane is a great pickup now that Sustain has been nerfed. For even more early to mid-game kill power, a lethality build has started gaining traction. It's Eclipse into the Collector as your 2-item core with a Lord Dominix slotted in 3rd. The build offers more all-in kill threat as Nilah's ultimate has a 140% AD ratio on the Whirl and 120% AD ratio on the Burst. If you really want some free elo right now and are able to play with a duo partner, then running the Nilo Taric lane is a great idea. For the rune page, run Conqueror with Triumph, Alacrity, and Last Stand. Second Wind and Revitalize are the best secondaries. We were quite surprised to see no follow-up nerfs for Sivir in 12.16 as she continues to thrive despite recent nerfs. Sivir is the perfect ADC for the current solo queue meta. This is largely due in part to her mini rework combined with the greater priority on securing dragons. Sivir's ultimate has always been super valuable for teamfights, but now that it resets on takedowns, gives her that extra layer of solo queue power. If you run Ghost as your secondary summoner like many pro players are doing, your ability to stay extremely mobile is nuts. The core build for Sivir is Kraken Slayer into Phantom Dancer 2nd and Infinity Edge 3rd. grab lethal tempo as the keystone with presence of mind, bloodline, and cut down. Free boots and biscuits are the go-to secondaries. Another really strong teamfight ADC who fits very well into the meta is Twitch. Twitch lacks the utility of Sivir, but makes up for it with the ability to find picks by himself. A really interesting trend over the past few patches has been Ghost taking over as the optimal secondary summoner. Whenever you pick up a kill with Ghost active, the movement speed buff resets, so it allows Twitch to pop out of stealth, pick off a target, and then scurry out of danger. The movement speed from Ghost is extremely nice to have in later game teamfights to keep annoying dive champions away. Blade into Kraken and Hurricane is the most optimal core build for most games. Rune Page is lethal tempo with presence of mind, alacrity, and cut down. Grab Taste of Blood and Ultimate Hunter for secondaries. The support with the greatest solo carry power for 12.16 is Amumu. Riot has decided to buff Evan Shroud, which makes sense because the majority of melee supports are in weaker states, but this just means Amumu becomes even more godlike. The kill power at level 6 is already incredibly strong, so extra damage potential from Even Shroud is more than welcomed if you're an Amumu player. The 2Q charges combined with point and click lockdown from ult gives Amumu one of the best chain CC combos for any support. This makes capitalizing on catch plays very reliable. Even Shroud is without a doubt Amumu's best mythic item, followed by Zanya's second and Thornmail third. Run Aftershock is the keystone with Font of Life, Bone Plating, and Unflinching. Cheap Shot and Ultimate Hunter work best for secondaries. Moving up into the support top 3 for the first time in a long time is Zyra. Zyra has been buffed for 12.16 with the cast time lockout duration on E being lowered. This may not seem like a big deal on paper, but for a very vulnerable champion like Zyra, saving even the slightest amount of time to help reposition can make or break being picked off or not. That extra bit of time you'll now save can be the difference between dodging a blitz hook or being yoinked to a gray screen. Even before this buff, Zyra has been one of the better performing solo queue supports as she's benefited from recent indirect changes. The potion nerfs are great for a poke support like Zyra, as the damage from her Q and E stick much better and offer more windows of opportunity. Liandry's Rush into Zanya's second and Rylai's third is the standard core build. For runes, run Comet with Mana Flow, Transcendence, and Scorch. The recent Scorch buffs are another reason for Zyra's rise up the tier list. Secondary runes are Cheap Shot and Relentless Hunter. The third solo carry spot for support this patch belongs to Taric once again. We mentioned in one of our videos last week that Taric has become even stronger with a new build emerging. Running Frostfire as your mythic combined with Glacial Augment as the keystone provides Taric with an insane amount of added utility. The slows help him stick onto targets so much easier, which actually translates into more healing since he can get more autos off to continuously spam Q. Not only does the enemy have very little ways to escape, but you and your carry are going to be sustaining very well. All these slows combined with Taric's stun and invulnerability from ultimate gives him one of the best skirmishes for any support, which is massive now that fighting for Dragon is so important. Rush item is Frostfire or Locket into Winter's Approach second and Frozen Heart third. Glacial is the keystone with Free Boots, Biscuits, and Cosmic Insight. Run Conditioning and Revitalize for secondaries. Alright guys, before we wrap this up, let's tell you a little more about SkillCapped. So, we offer a 5-division rank up guarantee and think that's a pretty crazy thing to offer. It's like a gym membership guaranteeing you'll get ripped. Your local gym would go bust if they offered that, right? Not us. We've offered this for years because our service really does work. It works so well, in fact, that we're able to produce by far the largest catalog of premium league guides on the internet. We add over 20 videos a week, with over 1,600 guides curated into over 100 courses no one can compare. We've also sent challenger players into ELO Hell 714 times and counting, where they commentate how to carry live. They also respond to all questions asked. Sign up today for as little as $6.99 a month if you are serious about improving. Thank you all so much for watching, good luck in solo queue, and we'll see you back soon.